life is too short. I can't drink myself the way that I was doing at my shows every single night. I'm not going to have a long career. And my father passing away the year before that, a lot of things happened where I started thinking about longevity and health and like, what is this like ride that I'm on? Is it supposed to be short and like, and I'm like, no, I don't want to end this. I love my life.
And a massive transformative purpose is what you're telling the world. It's like, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. This is the dent I'm going to make in the universe. So I want to go to a conversation with you, Steve, on life's big questions with Steve Aoki. So let's talk about some of the big questions. I want to get your thoughts on it, share mine, and have a little fun here. So the number one big question a lot of people ask is, how do I find happiness? It's if you believe that the purpose of life is to be happy, and we'll get to that other big question, like, what is the purpose of life? How do you find happiness? So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest, I'd say my biggest track that I have to date that goes along with what you're saying is a remix I made for my friend back in 2009, and I still close my sets with it. And it's the name of the song is "Pursuit of Happiness." So, I'm like, I'm always living that life on the journey to happiness. I find it, when I look at all the different things that I do, I really feel like I am the luckiest man in the world, because when I play a show, and this is why I'm so addicted to the stage and addicted to playing and deal with all the stuff we're talking about, like the no sleep and all those issues, is that when I hit that stage and I'm playing to people and I see their faces are like, they're not just happy, they're exploding, they're abundant with...
They're joyful, with joy.
Abundant with emotions,
yeah.
And they're just like screaming it out. So vulnerable to the world. Like, this is the time where they want to be giving their whole selves out. It's like, this is what I do. I want to bring happiness through music and connect with strangers in this way. And we're connecting at a very intimate level. And it's like the best feeling in the world.
So
it really is.
What I hear you saying then in how do I find happiness is, and it's interesting, right? Because I do believe it. It's you find happiness by giving happiness or supporting happiness in other individuals.
Yeah, it's like finding a way where you could be of service to people, where you are bringing some level of happiness with your service. I think that's at the end of the day, like, my service is music. I always say this is the most natural way for me to be expressive. So luckily I'm able to create this music and then deliver it, deploy it to people at scale. And I get to be a part of that's delivery. So that's really important to me, because I'm not just a producer. Like, I can't just live in a studio. I just can't. I need to be out there connecting with people through that music. And then when I see them happy, it's like when you give a gift to someone and you watch them, like, their face light up or their eyes go bigger, and they're just like, "Oh my God, you like, it's like you
got me REM sleep. Oh my God."
It's such a self-interest, you know what I mean? It's like that, like, makes you happy. So
yeah. I mean, it's like the purpose of relationship, when you're really in a great relationship, is to have someone to give to, not to take from. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, why do concerts or why do your shows need to start, like, so late? Why can't they, like, start at noon and end at like 6 p.m.? I mean,
oh, trust me. I love the afternoon parties. I do plenty of the pool parties and the festivals, or, like, I mean, they just go into the wee hours of the night, and if I'm headlining, I mean, that's how the name of the game is. Forget about it with Ibiza. And in European standards of nightlife, it's like peak hours 3 a.m. Like I'm on at 3:30 a.m. in Ibiza every week, and that's a peak hour. That's like people have dinner at 1 a.m. and they start going out at 2 a.m. and then they're in the club like raging face at 3:30 a.m. and I have to go with them till 6 a.m. Peter, I wish it was 3:30 a.m.
Yeah.
I mean PM,
yeah. Well, you just have to keep your brain on Las Vegas time, and it'd be a lot better.
Yeah.
So, all right, second big life question here, one that I think about, and I wonder, and I'm curious about your answer to here. Are humans innately good or bad? One of the questions I have is these exponential technologies that we talk about, we both love and use and promote and so forth, as they become more and more powerful, right? As AI is becoming, the overlord and robotics are becoming extraordinary, people are worried about it. And so, but if human nature is good and we're going to use these technologies to make the world a better place, then that's great. But we all know there's innate evil in the world too. So I'm just curious, what your thought is on this.
I'm an optimist at heart. Like I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
A glass overflowing.
Abundantly. Like I'm extremely positive for the future and how technology will help optimize us and create more harmony, happiness, more bonding, more, of the reasons why I believe we're human is that we are connected in the good path, in the path of helping each other and doing what we can. And I really sense that when you're with your family. When I'm with my family, the people that I love, you'll do anything for them. You'll take a bullet for them. You'll help them whatever way they can. If they're suffering or in pain, you want to support and help them. I think when you see that yourself and you see like the inner workings of your relationships with people you care and love, then that's just like, that's an innate goodness, and that translates to people that you don't know, one by one, as long as you remember, where you stand. Of course, you're right. There's I think a very small percentage of people that have no empathy and are they're disconnected, and they're, just bad people out there, whatever reason their brain makeup is, or however way they're
So this
raised.
goes to question number 3 on life's big questions, which is, are you hopeful about the future? Given all that's going on in the world, are you hopeful? Because I am. I'm a card carrying, optimist, and my standpoint comes from the fact that the tools we have to solve problems are getting more and more powerful at the same rate that those tools can cause problems. But I think because they're innately, 10x, 50x, 100x better good people, more good people than bad, that those people are going to stay ahead and solve problems. And entrepreneurs like you, like me, are folks who find and solve juicy problems. So are you hopeful for the future? Is that where you come out as well?
This is why I get excited whenever you're doing something that I could be a part of, because I'm with you. I look at you as one of the leaders in the space of science that are doing amazing things for humanity just in general, so I love what you're doing. And I'm like, whenever you're doing something, I'm like, I need to know what Peter's doing, because I'm part of the Diamandis camp to really use technology for the betterment of all people and find ways where we can, connect better, live our lives more with more meaning, more purpose, more love, more happiness.
Well, thank you, buddy.
I really am.
I'm grateful for that. And I know you're going to be part of my Abundance 360 show in March, which is cool. Of Tony Robbins there. We'll have a whole slew. But the whole purpose of A360 is to help people realize using AI, robotics, 3D printing, synthetic biology, AR, VR, blockchain, all those technologies, that they can uplift humanity, that there is no problem we cannot solve, that all of us, if you want to become a billionaire, help a billion people, the world's biggest problems, the world's biggest business opportunities, so go for them. And I think people need to be reminded, right? I mean, that's when I'm talking about mindsets and moonshots here. It's like your mindset, if you believe the world can be made better, then you're going to go for it. And moonshots are what allow us to like take on the world's biggest problems. So anyway, so you are hopeful, and I appreciate that.
Extremely, abundantly. As a like, I'm with Peter Diamandis. I gotta say abundantly.
Thank you, brother. So here's a big question, and I'm curious. What do you see as next for humanity? And let's unpack that a little bit, because I mean, humanity is, depending on how you want to define Homo sapiens, right? We've been around for hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, cavemen, if you look at when we were cavemen, cave humans, that was 100,000 years ago, right? We discovered sort of like agriculture like 10,000 years ago. And I mean, it's fairly recent. If you took people born, 10,000 years ago and brought them up today, you'd have them going to the best universities, becoming doctors, lawyers. I mean, we haven't genetically changed that much in 10,000 years. So, but it's culture changing and technology changing. So what do you see next? Where's humanity going?
Well, I think eventually we'll become androids.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I see us as a species using technology or robotics or whatever we can with the technology to take out all like the temperamental, the problematic organs or things that end up killing us, and replacing that with things that don't wither away or degenerate so quickly as some of the things that we have in our body. So I think we will become like half organic, half robotic, or half AI, or half technological, whatever that looks like. I don't think it's going to be like what you see in like the 70s sci-fi, where like a bunch of wires inside, or 80s sci-fi, a bunch of wires inside us. But maybe it's more organic tissues, things like that. But I do see that future of like, merging with technology, literally. Not having phones, but like they're literally just going to be part of our bodies.
So let's go there, because I know you're a friend of Ray Kurzweil as well, and Ray will be with us at Abundance 360 this year too. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a lot of conversations on AI. We're going to have a lot of conversations on brain-computer interface. I was just doing a podcast with Ray recently, and first of all, he's still on schedule for AI reaching human level or greater in 2029, right? Which is like tomorrow. And then I said, and I was like, when are you going to have? When are we going to see brain-computer interface, like high bandwidth? Like, my brain is plugged into the cloud, and I can feel your music. I can see. I can connect with you, and I'm like vibrantly, in. And his answer is early to mid 2030s, right? So a decade from now. And that's pretty awesome, when I become a cyborg in the positive sense, right, of choice.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, because like we're having conversations 4 or 5 years ago, Neuralink. Like it's like that conversation's already started in real life. That's not science fiction conversation. That's actually happening now. With a guy that has the funding and the financial and infrastructural power to actually move this needle forward, faster than we can imagine. So when you have that happening in real time, that 2030 mark sounds more realistic, because if you don't have the conversation now, then because it's happening now, it makes me realize, okay, 2030 does sound like the next, evolutionary step with, people that are that want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating. I mean, it's like it really is just around the corner, right? For I think almost everybody listening here is going to believe that they're going to make it, in the next 10 years, hopefully. And if you're not, then readdress and commit to getting in the next 10 years. I mean, it's a crazy time coming. It's going to be extraordinary.
I just because, like I have this foundation that's focused on brain research, brain science, and brain degeneration. We do tons of just data analysis and trying to figure out like what's out there, what are the breakthroughs. Even 7 years ago, there was already implants in the brain for people that have that can't walk and can't move their limbs, paraplegics that are connected to AI, and they're using AI. They don't even have to speak it; they think it, and they're able to move. So the telekinetic kind of response, like what this like the science fiction idea of what telekinesis is, moving with your thoughts, that was happening 7 years ago because of technology. I mean, imagine like there's someone sitting there and he's just like move forward, and the chair moves forward. Like bring the food, like the arm that has the apple to me, and he's able to eat with just thinking that. That's like if I was to tell you this 2022, people are like, that's science fiction, Steve. That doesn't happen. I'm like, it happened 7 years ago.
It's coming. I have to share this story. One of my favorite images was work done. I think it was at DARPA Labs, which is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. And what they did was they took a monkey and they put electrodes and sensors over the motor cortex and the sensory cortex on the neocortex, and they took the monkey's hands and they basically strapped them down, and then the monkey learned using the neural implants to control a set of robotic arms, right? And so it was able to grab for food and feed itself using those robotic hands because its hands were incapacitated. And then, get this, then they released the monkey's hands like a few weeks later, and now it had 4 hands, right? It had the robotic hands it learned to use and its own hands, because the brain, it's called plasticity, as you well know. The brain is able to reprogram itself on the fly and is able to reassign functionality to different parts of this neocortex. So amazing. So BCI is coming. Are you ready for a brain implant?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Most people would be like, if anyone's ready, Steve Aoki's ready, because I'm so obsessed with I'm definitely taking measures to live to this point where it's very normal to live forever. So I have my insurance policy set up to freeze my brain.
Okay, so that's interesting. I was about to go there, which is cryopreservation. I was also going to go to uploading, right? So one of the, as we are, if your mission is to live as long as possible, which I hope people will desire that, to have an increased health span, you can do that with the kind of work that I'm working on with our Rejuvenation X Prize, or the work that David Sinclair and George Church are doing, and just like, I'm going to keep this meat body operating as long as it possibly can in the highest level.
Body.
Yeah, it's a meat body for sure. And the other option is I'm going to, I think you said this, we're going to replace organs, replace tissues, basically keep on updating and upgrading. It's like, when you have a car or an airplane, the reason it's able to go way beyond its useful life is you're replacing the engine, replacing the wheels. It's your father's old hatchet. It's got 5 new handles and 4 new heads on this. The other option is, as you said, freeze yourself, and there are 2 options there: whole body freezing and cephalic, just freeze your brain. And then the other one is uploading. So let's talk about freezing yourself. Let's talk about uploading.
Right. So I am doing the full body freeze.
Okay.
And like when I talk to people about this, like hold on a second, you're just gonna like one day just freeze your body? No, it's like I'm dead. Like when I'm dead. When I'm dead.
Are you
okay?
wearing a bracelet?
So,
Are you wearing an Alcor bracelet?
no, I'm not. No. Is that the bracelet you need so when you die, they know to like make
Yeah.
sure you
So
freeze
like
your body? Actually, I'm not.
if you're hit by a car, there's a bracelet that you get. I don't have one. I didn't sign up yet. You did. You should get your bracelet or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
That when
I'm glad you mentioned this.
that when the ambulance, the coroner signs up, shows up, and like we got to pronounce him dead, they look at your bracelet and they say, "Oh, call this number," and like a SWAT team comes up to find you. What do they do with you when they find you? Do you know?
This is a really important step that I totally missed.
You missed this,
because
dude.
I did. It's at the very least for just like my own personal this interview or this talk with you. It's like really, it's the first thing I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I need this bracelet. I don't want to have to wear this bracelet for the rest of my life. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I guess it's like, like in my head, I'm like, well, hopefully I do die of old age in a hospital bed. You're right. There's like that other small percentage of like ways that I might die. But I just think that at that stage I will wear the bracelet, but
for people for those who are curious, when you get frozen, the biggest concern. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to freeze yourself so you can preserve as much of, well, now, this is where the dichotomy comes in. Like, do I freeze the body or do I freeze the brain? It's like in the future, when you're able to unfreeze yourself, hopefully the technology is far enough along where you can just grow yourself in your body. But your brain, with all your memories, all of your ideas, your persona of who you are, is going to be kind of hard. If you regrow it, it's like starting with a clean sheet of paper. What you really want to do is be able to like map all of the neural interactions, the 100 trillion synaptic connections, which are your memories, and be able to map those and map them onto a fresh brain, or bring your brain out. But the problem is when you freeze, ice crystallizes and expands, and it can rupture cells. And so what they want to do and one of the companies is called Alcor, there are others. What they want to do is basically take out your blood, exsanguinate you, and put in antifreeze that keeps the cells from rupturing. So, and they have to do it in a certain time, or the proteins start to degrade.
That's the one like kind of area that I don't know how long it is, because like, okay, let's say a point of death in the hospital, they transport the body into, because like the way that when I was at Alcor, the way they explained to me is that let's say like finally that's it. Hospital has deemed you dead. They're not going to try to resuscitate you. It's over. They bring your body into like ice, right?
Yeah.
And then they transport you quickly.
See, you've been prepping for this
facility.
with your ice plunges.
Exactly. That's so funny, huh? Yeah, I mean that's gonna take a long time. I don't understand like the degeneration process.
Well, what they're doing is they're slowing down the metabolism, the degeneration with the ice bath, but it's not freezing you. It's bringing you down to just above freezing, right? And it's slowing down the protein degradation.
Right. And then, wherever I am in the world, they're going to have to fly me to the facility, which is in Arizona. And I think during this transportation time, it's going to be, not ideal, because when they put me in the Kelvin degree, negative 5,000, whatever it is, it's like where it's
like negative 70. It's like liquid nitrogen level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they put you there, then you're good. But on the degeneration process, but like that transportation time's got to be seemingly like 24 hours plus, So I don't know how much that really does affect the degradation of your brain, from reanimating it or whatever, however way they call it.
Yeah. I think now, just to be clear for folks, there have been, I don't know, probably hundreds, maybe thousands of people who have been put into cryopreservation. And it might be individuals who've got, a really bad cancer or some disease that's uncurable, and they pass. And the hope is that you're going to put money into a bank account that's going to accumulate interest over time. And it's going to pay for the cryopreservation storage costs. And then at some point in the future, I don't know if is it a prize that like whoever brings back Steve Aoki to full functional health will win $10 million, and the money's sort of like hanging out for the person who says they can bring you back. But hopefully someone brings you back. There is a great science fiction book. I don't know if you get a chance to read science fiction. It's called We Are Bob, and it's about a guy. It's a 4-book series, and I love it. I'll have to put it in the show notes.
I gotta read it because it's like talking about what people like myself are gonna have to deal with.
Well, it's a guy who signs up for Alcor, and he's leaving this science fiction conference, and he gets hit by a car, and he wakes up like 50 years later, and he's disembodied, and his brain is in an AI. And
wow.
his AI brain is being put onto a starship, and he is powering what's called a von Neumann machine. I don't know if you've ever heard of a von Neumann machine. So the idea is there's a starship that's going out. It's being powered by this AI brain, and its mission is to go out and to replicate itself. And so this starship is able to go to asteroid belts and planets and other star systems, and it's able to replicate itself using all of the planetary materials and nanotechnology, and it replicates his brain. His name is Bob, and it creates a second starship, and the other one is called Bob too. So it's like We Are Bob. There are thousands of Bobs out in the store, and it's an amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, listen to the audio. Listen to the audible of it. It's extraordinary. It's a great book. You would love it.
Yeah, actually, on that note, I've been talking to my team about it because like they're just like, whoa, this is the weirdest thing we've ever heard. I don't think it's ever really been done, but obviously when I pass at that time, there's going to be an estate, right? And then there's going to be like my descendants that will get it. So if let's say I come back, like technology hits, let's say like 100 years from now, so there's like 2 descendants past me, and they don't know me anymore. Like they're like, they don't care about me. My son might care about me, or my daughter might care about me, but not my son's son, or daughter's sons, whatever it might be. And when they're like, "Oh yeah, we have this technology to bring back this
Grandpa Sickle."
Yeah, they're like this guy. They're like, and when he comes back, he's going to take your money because that's the money he made that you're living off of. They'll be like, don't bring him back. I want to keep this for myself. And so that's why we're creating like a separate
trust
kind of fund. Yeah, trust.
The bring Steve back trust.
Yeah, and then that trust is like not going to get touched by my descendants. So I have to have like that way. Like I come back, I'm not broke. like I'm like back in this new world. I'm like, I have no money because I'm fighting in a lawsuit with my descendants.
You'll have to go back on tour.
I have to go back on tour and like
300 years old.
I'm like, I just hope I'm not like in this like 85-year-old body or 100-year-old body where I'm like, it's like barely functioning, and I'm like, I die again because I come back, but I mean, that obviously like it'll be different. Like I'm sure, like you said, you regenerate, or you upload your brain into like this new skin or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other way besides freezing yourself is uploading, which is you're going to map all of your thoughts and your memories, and you're going to then upload it to a quantum computer. That's what typically the science fiction books do. And yes, I learn everything I learned from science fiction. Well, not really, but a lot. And so here's the question, right? You're sitting there, you put yourself in the machine. The machine maps your brain just like Dr. Amen did, and it's mapping 100 billion neurons or 100 trillion synaptic connections. All of your thoughts, all of your memories get uploaded to this machine, and you hear this booming voice that sounds like you, and it says, "Steve, I have been uploaded. I now have all of your memories, all of your thoughts. I am you. You can kill yourself.
God.
You can kill yourself now. You're immortal with me.
Yeah. That's scary. I see, like, it's scary, like the idea that you cloned yourself and like now you're competing with your clone. Because like if you give that clone, this feeling of like, like self-awareness, then it's going to be like, yeah, okay, you mortal, I'm immortal, so like you could just die off and I will just live forever, and like the mortal side of me is like, no, I don't want to die off. I still like, I need to experience things, like, so you don't want your clone to live as you. You want you to live as you. So that's
in the We Are Bob scenario. There are multiple versions of you, but then one of you dies, and then the other one goes on. Anyway, okay, we're going to change this subject. We're going to go to another. We're going to go to another of life's big questions. So we talked about what's next for humanity. We're becoming cyborgs. We're becoming. I think a multiplanetary species. I think is very cool. I think we're going to live in the virtual world. That will be super cool, right? Imagine being able to be connected and digitally living in a fully virtualized world. I think that will be cool. So here's my question, going back to one of the things we talked about on our last podcast, which is purpose. And my question is, does everyone have a purpose?
I can't speak for everyone, I know that, like, for me, I mean, because, everyone's got different brain makeup of what is fulfilling for them. Right. So for me, like, that purpose is so important for me to seek out. And, just like I was saying before, like, I found it early on at a very young age. As
did I. Yeah.
Like for me, my purpose was always like, first, like finding this expression to finding a way to voice all these angst and feelings and all this, the teenage turbulence of what you go through being a kid, like figuring out life. And I was able to do that through music. So I was lucky because I couldn't figure out how to do that. I was like, hard time to socialize in the traditional settings of how kids socialize and express themselves through sports and things like that. It was difficult for me to do that there. So I found it in music, and it like was this like complete explosion of everything coming out. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like that moment was really important
that
for me.
Combination of a true passion that gives you joy and the ability to be in service to other individuals at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. And something that you feel that you uniquely have. So, yeah, I mean, I think everybody should, to answer that question myself, I do think that everybody can find a purpose, and it could be to be a great mom or a great dad, or it can be to be when you're in service of other people. I think if you're not being in service of other people, it's a little bit of an emptier life. I mean, it doesn't have to be, a purpose that puts a dent in the universe, which I like to ask people to do. I do like people to dream bigger and think bigger because it makes the world a better place. But I do think everybody can find a purpose, and I do believe so.
I really think it's exactly like along what you're talking about. The purpose can be something that you might not think is a very big thing, but it gives you joy. Like it's like when I just like the idea of what we were talking about before. It's like when you give something to someone and you see their reaction, whatever it might be. It's like you're creating that feeling of that transaction, whatever it is, of like whatever you're giving them, and is giving them happiness or giving them joy. That's a small purpose. Even those little moments, they all add up. So it's like, just like what you're saying, it's being of service, finding that, and whatever it is that of the service that it is, however way you deliver it or however way you give it out. I think that's what people need to find.
All right. Another big question, pal, for someone like yourself, and me to some degree too, but how do you balance money and fame and happiness. I mean, all of these things are, they pull at you, and they drive us in different ways. Have you thought about this? I mean, and you can even add health onto that, right? Because you're trading health, and you're trading, starting family. And I mean, so how do you balance all of these things? I mean, there's money, there's health, there's family, there's fame, there's, I said money as well. I mean, how do you think about balancing all these things?
I realized as I mean, like, I'm extremely, like, I definitely am like a very alpha human. Like, I'm out there all the time doing what I need to do, like whatever is up that my purpose is, or whatever it is that, like, my passions are, I'm pushing that forward for sure. And I think that's a large part of the success that I was able to make up to this point in my life. And that also, it shows, it also, like, has shown me that I am very extroverted. Like, I can be in public places and things like that. But as I became more famous, I'm very, very selective of my extrovert nature, or my, that kind of thing. So I've become kind of like an extrovert introvert in a way. And because of the fame, I think, if, obviously when you're more noticeable, I only want to have, like, those moments to shine in controlled situations. So I don't just roll around as I used to. I know that's how I deal with just being more noticed, or having this kind of influence. I'm just very selective. When it comes to, like, money, I definitely look at it more like I am now in a position to help others, and to be able to afford to do all these interesting things that I can do, to biohack, to try out these different, like, new discoveries of in science that I have access to because of my influence, right? I'd be able to connect with someone like you, Peter, and but also test out all these different things, because if I could test it out, then I could share it with others, if it works for me. And once I was able to have the influence, once I was able to have, some sort of financial infrastructure myself, that's when I created the foundation. Like, that's where I can actually do a lot of work and help there.
This is less of a big question in life, and more as people get successful in life, things go sideways sometimes for them. They think too much of themselves. They think it's their way or the highway. Some of them just, drive at 100 miles an hour into a brick wall, whether it's drugs or relationships or whatever the case might be. I mean, what's your advice? I mean, one of the best pieces of advice I got in the world of success is be careful who you piss off on the way up, because you're going to meet them on the way back down.
That's so true. I mean, that's like the reality of any level of success, is that in anything, in the stock market, in your relationships, in any level of success, it's never just a moonshot up. It's not like this. Life isn't like this. It's like, life is like this, and it goes here, then it goes down, then it goes down again, and it goes up, and then, in the end, like, in the macro sense, you're up farther, hopefully, than you were, 10 years ago. But it's like the journey is just, like, all over the place. It's never like, it might go like this for a while, and you're like, holy shit, what's going on? But be prepared for the down, 100%. And I think by the fourth or fifth down, you just get it. You just have to survive to that point, right? Because on the up, right, that's when, like, you're like, whoa, I could do anything. I could do drugs. I could, like, embellish in this vice. I could do this. And, like, everything's, and of course, like, that's when people like do what you're talking about. It's like drive themselves right into a brick wall going 100 miles an hour because they just think that they're invincible.
They're invincible, yes.
You know,
and the answer is they're not.
Exactly. I've been lucky where, yeah, I used to drink myself like crazy when I would DJ, and it was just part of the show. And I had to make a cold turkey decision that like it's not sustainable. And that was back in 2009. But that all, there was something heavy and traumatic that happened to me around that time when my best friend that's a DJ, he passed away from a drug overdose. And it had nothing to do with alcohol for me, but it was just a wake up call being like, well, life is too short. I can't drink myself the way that I was doing at my shows every single night. I'm not going to have a long career. And my father passing away the year before that, a lot of things happened where I started thinking about longevity and health and like, what is this like ride that I'm on? Is it supposed to be short and like, and I'm like, no, I don't want to end this. I love my life.
Yes, exactly. Life is amazing.
Living.
Yeah.
I love living, and I'm so lucky to even exist and to do what I was doing. Like, I won like the greatest tier of a lottery just to be able to do what I'm doing and be alive.
Yeah. And be alive. Be alive at this period of time in human history.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you read the history books of all the other periods, like, just how things were. I'm just like, God, I'm just so lucky. So like all these things are happening where I started understanding what gratitude really means and how to deploy that and to live off that in a way that's meaningful and sustainable.
Yes.
Sustainability, like that understanding of it is so important to realize on like, okay, so once you understand sustainability in your life, then I think real growth can happen on what you need to like kick out, what you need to focus on. I think mainly what you need to kick out,
It's Martine Rothblatt. Do you know Martine? She's amazing. She's built 6-7 moonshots. I have to read this quote she sent me. She's one of the most brilliant CEOs. She cured her daughter's pulmonary hypertension, fatal disease, by finding a drug, building a $10 billion biotech company. She's 3D printing lungs and turning pig organs into human organs.
Wow.
And
incredible.
Yeah, she is incredible. And you ready for this? And you said about doing less. She says, the difference between successful and very successful people is that the former say no to most things and the latter say no to almost everything.
Wow.
Powerful, huh?
I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. And it's interesting. I am saying no to a lot these days. I used to say yes to everything.
Thanks for saying yes to this.
Peter, I'm like, the problem is with you, I'll say yes to everything.
Thank you.
Because I'm on Team Diamandis. I am Team Diamandis to forever.
Thank you, buddy. Well,
I'm with you.
I will be careful with that. I will not abuse that superpower. So there's a couple of, I asked my audience for some questions, and we have a few minutes for a few AMA questions. And there are a few that I am curious, and so I consider you a fellow futurist, for lack of a better term, singularitarian, someone interested in technology and such. What got you interested in exponential tech and futurism?
Ray Kurzweil.
Okay, so talk about that.
Just two words.
Yeah.
Ray Kurzweil.
I love those words.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after my father passed away in 2008, I went on this journey, kind of understanding what cancer was, and that led me down to just overall mindfulness, how to be preventative of not just any cancer, but like all disease, and coupling that with the fact that I'm a sci-fi junkie. I love science fiction. It's my favorite genre. And I mean, I think so.
I'm going to send you a link to the We Are Bob book.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I think the reason why is because it's just humans just thinking of like, what can we do? What are the things that could possibly happen? And in some of those conversations and stories, there are very inquisitive minds and incredible people like Peter Diamandis and Ray Kurzweil that are like, let's try to do one of these things or two of these things, and find others that actually can and have the money, have the science backgrounds, have and have the scalability to grow these things into real life situations. So then obviously I found Ray Kurzweil along this road to learning more about health and more of the radical things that are exciting. Is like, what can we do in science fiction that can become science fact? And I just dove into all his books, and I'm like, wow.
Yes, wow.
I want. I'm a team Kurzweil. I actually met him. I flew up to the Bay Area, and I hung out with him in his apartment. We started toying on his Kurzweil keyboard, and we talked about the future together. And I created a whole music series called Neon Future. I put him on a song, put Ray Kurzweil on a song. So like he has, just like I'm an author and I'm also a musician, Ray Kurzweil is also he's an artist. He's an artist. And Peter, I'm going to do a song with you at some point.
I'm ready. I'm ready for my Neon Future whenever you're ready for it, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. So next question asked, what are you curious about? What are you most curious about? Like, what do you find yourself thinking about, wondering about right now more than anything else?
I mean, right now, the thing that's on top of mind is I need to figure out the hack for myself to get more REM sleep. So I'm trying everything I possibly can. So I'm like the most inquisitive, most like driven to try all these different techniques, whether I'm talking to Matt Walker and having this diagnostic check with him, to doing, I do blood work on monthly, and following up on all my blood analysis and taking the right supplements and things like that, just balancing that out, neurofeedback, and just fine tuning the different parts of my brain that need to get honed in on, and obviously speaking with Dr. Amen as we talked about before, on my brain, but I just want to hack my brain and figure out
in a good way.
Yes, in a way to where I want to get normal amount of REM sleep, and then everything's small, right? It's like, for me, it's like I want to go in the details, and that's my detail right now is understanding sleep. This is a man who has "I'll sleep when I'm dead" on the back of my neck, so I'm like, it's a complete like change of mind.
Last question here, pal, and it's a deep one. What drives you to create? And we may have discussed this already in one of your answers, but it's worth saying again. So I would say you are driven to create.
Okay. Yes. I think it, just like I was saying before with the live shows, it's my love. It's like it's where my heart opens up and connects with so many people. It's like this incredibly fulfilling feeling that never ever gets old. It's always new, it's always fresh, and it gives me so much life. So when I have that, that's always going to be the goal, right? So whenever I make music, it's how do I enrich that?
And by the way, you create on many levels, right? It's not just music. You also create on companies. I mean, if I had to say what my creative area is, it's creating as an entrepreneur, right? And that's also for you too, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting because when I'm in these other businesses, as we're talking about outside of music, there is a different drive and a different reason for my pursuits. Like I'd say, one thing I could share with you here is that, since COVID, I started a company. It's a trading card game company.
Tell me the name.
It's called MetaZoo.
Yes.
I'm a co-founder of it. I wouldn't say I started. I'd say like more literally, I'm a co-founder. There's this guy named Mike Waddell who actually started the company from a $17,000 Kickstarter project. And after he launched it, I joined in shortly thereafter. And because I'm so into cards. I was a big Pokemon card guy. I love sports cards. I love collectible culture. And I was scanning, and I was really, as an entrepreneur, looking for the next startup company in the space that I could join and help build. And I looked into their IP, and I was like, this is a goldmine IP because it takes the idea of cryptids. Cryptids are like Bigfoot, Loch
Oh,
Ness monster.
yes.
Like
So they're
there's thousands and thousands of them.
well established, but no one owns the IP
Exactly. But we could make our own interpretation of Bigfoot
and
and
own
call
that.
it the MetaZoo Bigfoot, and we own that.
Yeah.
And we could write a whole story that involves all of them. Let me give you an example. There's like 20 million.
The Avengers of those. Yeah.
Yeah, right. There's like 20 million people that are obsessed with Bigfoot, right? But there's also like maybe 10 million people that are obsessed with Chupacabra. And then there's, and so forth, and Santa Claus and whatever. We're going to take all of them, create our own interpretation of them, and create a whole world and build an entire company around it. And I was like, this one, I really believe will be $1 billion company because it has the legs to do that, because it already has so much meat on the bone. We started a $17,000 Kickstarter project. That was the start of the company. In 16 months, we've already grossed over $50 million.
Whoa!
$50 million.
That's insane.
Cardboard. And the community is so rich. This is the secondary market is booming. It's like, to give you some crazy numbers, Peter, just because I know as an entrepreneur you like to like hear about these numbers and how we sell.
Yeah, sure.
We started these boxes, right? We made 2,500 boxes at $50 a box. We started that out with a $17,000 Kickstarter project. At the height, they went from $50 a box. We sold out of those like after like about 3 months. It took us some time. At the height of what they were selling in the secondary market, they were going for about 12,000.
Whoa!
So I don't know what the multiplier is on that, but it's like got to be a 200 and something X.
Wow! And this was during COVID as well.
This is during COVID,
which is everybody's looking for that kind of a,
right?
Yeah.
We're selling out. We did like a 50,000 box drop of like at like $50 or $100. I forgot what the price was. Sold those boxes out in literally 20 seconds. 50,000 boxes.
Insane.
We just sold. Now I've created my own brand called Hero Quest, which is my next musical project series. Neon Future for 4 series. This is my new one, and we created a whole character set underneath MetaZoo. We just dropped, these packs that you could buy online. We just dropped that, sold, over 30,000 of them in 30 minutes, and I was like, it's just insane to see the numbers and how healthy the secondary market is on the products, and how, and all the Comic Cons and all these different conferences where we thrive. The cosplay is incredible. People getting the tattoos on their bodies that are like real diehard fans. And we've been around for 16 months. It's just we have a long road to go, and I really do believe that this company has a strong chance to hit the $1 billion mark that I saw 16 months ago. So
amazing.
That's been an exciting endeavor for sure.
Amazing. One more fan question that I need to ask, because I'm curious too. What's the story behind Pursuit of Happiness?
Well, I remember this is 2009 when I did that remix. In 2008, I did a tour with my friend A-Track. We did a U.S. tour. It was a Dimmock Fool's Gold tour, and he brought out a new artist of his that he was supporting on his label, and it was Kid Cudi. And he dropped a song called Day and Night at the time, and this is his first tour. So we were like on this tour together, and me and Scott, his name is Scott, we just became really good friends on that tour. And since then we stayed friends, and he's like, hey, I'm dropping an album, and I have this song called Pursuit of Happiness. I'd love for you to remix it. And of course, I'm like, anything for you, Scott. Like, of course, I want to do anything for him. And he was just on the rise. He was just like about to just pop. And I heard the song and MGMT and Rat-a-tat on there, and I love MGMT, and I love Rat-a-tat as well. So it's like got this indie flair to it already. It's really, really kind of like, it was a very kind of an emo, dark song, but like with this hopeful lyric. And musically, it was just slowed down. So I'm like, I have to rave this out. So I sped it up like from, I think the tempo is like 100 and something BPM, and I just punched it up to 128 BPM, which is the typical
rave,
rave tempo, electro tempo, EDM tempo. It's a tempo that I live in. And I'm like, I'm going to turn this into a festival banger. Like that was the goal, because the lyrics are so powerful. Like when you hear Cuddy sing those lyrics, I was only imagining the whole crowd singing it, which is what happened. Like everyone knows the lyrics to Pursuit of Happiness at all my shows around the world. Literally, it's a global
phenomenon.
It's just it's a cultural song. It really is a cultural song. And I put on these rave synths on the track. It launches with that. Then it goes into his lyrics. Then it goes right into this heavy drop that makes everyone dance. And interestingly enough, when we dropped that remix, it didn't really hit. It was cool, but it was like, yo, this is great. This is really good. We did it, but like it didn't really break culture until 3 years later. There's a movie called Project X that came out, and Project X is like the definitive party movie of all time. The most iconic, classic, like high schoolers that took over a house when the parents were gone, like this scenario that every high school kid dreams about. Parents are gone. Let's throw the craziest party known to mankind. And actually, it was based on these kids that did that in Australia, and they like the whole block went crazy. Like this cops showed up and everything. Anyways, like it's called Project X, and like all these kids threw this party, and at the pinnacle of this movie, they dropped my remix of Pursuit of Happiness, and it turned it into a music video inside the movie of the most important part of like the height of this party scene. And after that movie dropped, the world finally heard Pursuit of Happiness. And after that, it was literally a cultural song in the history books.
It's amazing. And it's incredible what tips things, right? It's like, yeah, I mean, that was, I love looking at those tipping moments. It's like, I hate to say like COVID tipped Zoom into like a phenomenon around the world.
Yes, absolutely.
And I look forward to you and I building a company together. That'll be a fun conversation. We'll continue in the days ahead. Steve, listen, thank you, my friend, for your unbridled enthusiasm and purpose and passion, and excited to be doing things with you. Excited to have you join us at A360 in March. Excited for helping spread the gospel of brain science and health through your foundation. And excited for the REM sleep I'm going to gift you.
Please. Thank you, Peter. I'd love to talk with you.
All right, brother. Be well.
All right,
have a beautiful day.